All right, let's jump right in. Think of this as a high-speed practice session, a boot camp designed to help you absolutely master the critical IAM concepts you're going to face on the AWS Solutions Architect Associate exam. Ready? Let's do this. So here's our game plan, our roadmap for this little speed run. We're going to hit the absolute essentials, break down users, groups, and roles, and then really master IAM policies. After that, we'll tackle some real-world architect scenarios, cover security best practices, and wrap it all up with some final exam tips to make sure this stuff sticks. Okay, first things first. You might be wondering, why are we focusing so hard on IAM? Well, when it comes to the SAA C03 exam, the stakes for this topic are, frankly, huge. Yeah, look at that number. IAM is not some minor topic you can just skim. We're talking about concepts that can make up around 20% of the entire exam. That's a massive chunk. So you can see why nailing this section is just absolutely critical to walking away with a pass. Now let's get into the real building blocks of IAM. We're going to zoom in on what I think is the single most important distinction you need to understand for the exam, the huge difference between permanent and temporary credentials. Think of it like this. On one side, you've got an IAM user. This is a person or an application that has long-term keys, a password or an access key that just doesn't expire. It's permanent. But on the other side, you have an IAM role. This is totally different. It hands out temporary credentials that are meant for a specific task, and then they just, poof, disappear. Understanding this one difference is the key to unlocking so many exam questions. Okay, pop quiz time. Based on what we just talked about, how do you solve this classic exam scenario? You have an app on a server, and it needs to get data from an S3 bucket. What is the most secure way to do it? Go ahead, pause for a second if you need to and really think it through. And the correct answer is B. You create an IAM role and attach it directly to the EC2 instance. If you got that, you're on the right track. So why is this the winner? Here's the most important part. Using an IAM role means you never, ever have to store long-term access keys on that EC2 instance. The credentials are temporary, they're rotated automatically by AWS, and there are no secrets hiding in your code. Storing static keys is a giant security risk, and I promise you, it is always the wrong answer on the exam. Always choose roles for AWS services. Awesome. Now let's build on that and talk about how permissions actually work. We're diving into IAM policies. And when it comes to how these policies are evaluated, there is one single, unbreakable rule that you have to burn into your memory. And this is it. This is the golden rule. An explicit deny always, always wins. It doesn't matter if a user is in 10 groups that all allow an action. If just one tiny policy statement anywhere says deny, then access is denied. End of story. It's the ultimate trump card. Okay, let's put that policy logic to the test. Here's the scenario. You've got a super critical operation, deleting objects from S3. And the business requires that this can only happen if the user has authenticated with MFA. So how do you enforce that? What's the best tool for the job?
The correct answer here is B. You would use an IAM policy that has a specific condition in it requiring MFA.
And this is a perfect example of just how powerful policy conditions are. You can literally add a condition block to your policy that checks if this little key, AWS multi-factor auth present, is true. This gives you this amazing fine-grained control to enforce extra security, but only for the release-sensitive actions. This is a pattern you'll see a lot. All right, let's level up. We're going to tackle a more complex architectural pattern, but one you will absolutely see on the exam. Connecting your AWS account to the outside world, specifically to a company's existing user directory. This is called identity federation. So what does that look like? Well, first, a user signs in using their normal company login, the one they use every day. Their company's system then gives them this special digital ticket called a SAML assertion. They take that ticket to AWS's Security Token Service, or STS, which checks it out and in exchange gives them, you guessed it, temporary AWS credentials. See that theme again? Temporary credentials are the key to good security. Okay, quick knowledge check. Based on that flow we just saw, when a company sets things up so employees can use their existing corporate login to get into AWS, what's the official name for that process? You got it. The answer is C. The whole process is called federated access. And why is this so popular? Why do architects love it? Well, it's simple. You don't have to create and manage a separate IAM user for every single employee.
That would be a nightmare. Instead, users get a nice, seamless, single sign-on experience, and all the user management, the hiring, the firing, stays right where it belongs, in the main corporate directory. It's a huge win for both security and operations.
Okay, time to shift gears. We're moving into a high-pressure situation. You are the architect on call, and you just got an alert. There's been a security breach. This is your code red scenario.
And this happens, believe me, it happens. A developer accidentally pushed AWS access keys to a public GitHub repo. You have to assume that automated bots have already found them. The clock is ticking. What is the absolute #1 first thing you do right now?
There is only one correct first move here, and it's C. You have to deactivate and then delete the exposed access keys immediately.
Your first priority is to stop the bleeding. You have to invalidate those stolen keys so they can't be used anymore. That means deactivating them. Changing a password or enabling MFA does absolutely nothing for exposed access keys. Once you've contained the threat, then you can move on to reviewing CloudTrail logs to see what damage was done, and then you can start creating new, safe credentials.
All right, we are in the home stretch now. Let's do a rapid-fire review and lock in the most important things you need to remember for exam day.
And for our final challenge, let's put it all together. You know you can use the AWS source IP condition to lock things down to your company's network, and you know you can use AWS multi-factor auth present to require MFA. So how would you write a policy to enforce both at the same time? Well, the key is that a single condition block in a policy can have multiple conditions, and when you do that, they all have to be true. Thinking through these kinds of logic puzzles is exactly what's going to get you ready for the real exam. Keep practicing these scenarios, and you're going to do great. Good luck!